What is reality? Hey Crash, today we're going to talk about reality. More specifically, what reality is, and how we can be certain about whether anything is real.
Well, you're in luck, Culture, because I'm the realest guy there is.
I mean actually real. Like the opposite of fake? Like non-fiction.
Sorry, I miss Tupac. I wonder if heaven's got a ghetto.
Right. Anyway, I'm talking metaphysics. How do we know that the world around us actually exists? And when I say exists, I mean it persists whether there is anybody left to perceive it. For example, when we close our eyes, does the world around us disappear?
Oh, I get what you mean. Like, if we turn our back on Tupac, does he cease to exist?
Enough about Tupac. It's been like 20 years.
The worst 20 years of my life!
You're not even 20 years old.
Exactly!
Look, just stick with me here. Maybe chatting about something else will take your mind off Tupac. Reality can be loosely defined as the way things actually are. For example, we can easily distinguish imagination from reality in that whatever we imagine does not necessarily actually exist. Certain components of what we imagine might exist somewhere, but the thoughts themselves do not. Role-playing games make use of this fact to help the player escape reality. They can become a warrior fighting off a dragon, or an adventurer plunging into treasure-filled caves.
Wait, are you telling me dragons aren't real?
Who knows? I mean, they could exist somewhere, theoretically. But in the case of the role player, the dragon is not actually in the room with them, and they're not actually fighting the dragon. It seems obvious that the dragon is not real. But what about things that we just naturally assume are real? Your house, your car, your family, your friends, even you yourself as you know it to be.
Oh no, I just realized where this is going. This is going to be that bullshit free will debate all over again, isn't it? Nuh-uh, I'm out!
Oh yeah? And where are you gonna go? As far as the audience knows, all that exists is this white spotlight in this orange space.
You are coming fucking dangerously close to a fourth wall break, Culture.
Oh, I'll break this fourth wall. I'll smash it into pieces. You thought you were upset about Tupac? Just wait until you see this.
Jeez, you're vicious today. You've earned my attention. Go on.
Like I was saying, philosophers have called reality into question. There are two main sides to this argument. The realists believe that reality is independent of any beliefs, perceptions, etc., whereas anti-realists believe the exact opposite, that reality is dependent upon the mind or cultural artifacts. Essentially, the argument is over the objectivity of reality.
Let's not complicate this. Everybody knows what's real. The sun is real. The earth is real. People and animals are real.
What you're suggesting is called consensus reality, where the reality of a given object or concept is determined by mass agreement. However, this method of separating fact from fiction can often be false.
Oh yeah, like when people thought the earth was flat.
Well, actually no. That's a common misconception. With the exception of a few fanatics, people always thought the earth was a sphere, as far back as the ancient Greeks.
Okay then, Genius, you give an example.
Well, you see, delusions can exist on a mass scale, where people believe in notions that are contraindicated by logical argument or evidence. Take cults, for example. Or, religions.
Whoa, hold up there. Don't you need like a trigger warning before you say something like that?
Fine, I'll pick a different topic. In parts of Asia and Africa, there is a culture-specific delusional disorder known as koro. Large groups of people succumb to the idea that their genitals are retracting into their body and will disappear despite there being no medical evidence to support their claims.
I have that condition as well, but in reverse. Please, continue.
Another perfect example of delusion. So you see why we can't rely on groups to be correct either necessarily. Of course, most people would think of reality as being that which is scientifically proven. This is one example of the correspondence theory of truth, which says that a statement can be determined as true or false based on how it relates to the world. In this way, we can generate hypotheses and determine whether observable phenomena match our hypotheses. But this definition is vague at best, and even if we were to provide an accompanying theory of the world, it would be predicated upon the assumption that the correspondence theory of truth was correct. In other words, it would be cyclical. Like Albert Einstein said, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one.
So, there is no objective truth. Well, what's the alternative then?
Well, there may be an objective truth. We just can't discern it due to our biases, prejudices, and overall subjective interpretation of the world around us. Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson wrote extensively about this idea, referring to the individual notions of reality as reality tunnels. When two people are in agreement on a topic, they are said to be momentarily sharing reality tunnels. Put simply, reality tunnels support the idea that truth is in the eye of the beholder, or that perception is reality. An even more extreme version of this idea is solipsism. Solipsism holds that only the mind of the subject in question, only one person, exists. Everything physical and all other people and their minds are simply an extension or simulation of the subject's mind.
That would make sense. After all, why would everybody worship me above all others? Well, me and Tupac above all others. Oh my god! Maybe Tupac is just an extension of myself! What an honor that would be.
Some psychologists believe that infants are born with solipsist views, and later realize that other people have the same experiences and thoughts as them. And since you have the intelligence of an infant, I'm not surprised you're so egocentric.
Ouch. Thanks, douchebag. Look, I may not be the smartest guy.
Not even close.
But even I know some things just have to be real. Like matter. I can see and touch and taste matter.
Matter is composed of atoms, atoms composed of subatomic particles, and subatomic particles composed of quarks and strings. But beyond that, everything is a melting pot of forces opposing one another. And the only way we can represent these forces is using numbers. So are you suggesting then, Crash, that math is the only one real thing?
I mean, you've pushed me into a corner here. I either have to say I like maths or give up on reality. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really thinking about the latter. But you know what? I think the only maths I need is knowing that there's one bullet in this gun.
I mean, maths is a good choice. It allows us to describe the world around us. Like colour, for example. A seemingly entirely subjective notion, colour can be described instead as a wavelength of light. In doing so, we create a universal language of sorts, a way to agree upon different ideas and reach a consensus. And everyone can understand and agree upon numbers, at least basic numbers like whole integers.
No! I won't embrace maths! There has to be some other truth! What about time and space?
Now you're onto something. In the Critique of Pure Reason, Immanuel Kant...
Hey now, you're not allowed to say naughty words like that! I haven't even said that!
What? That's his last name. Kant. Spelled K-A-N-T. It's the original German pronunciation.
Oh. Go on.
Kant asserts that time and space are a priori notions. A priori essentially means that they can be known without experience. Since we use space to quantify how far apart two things are, and time to quantify the duration of an event or period between two events, we essentially require them to understand sense experience. But the story doesn't end there, because we can still call into question the reality of the past, future, and present.
Oh great, so now you're going to undermine all of time as well. Now who's egocentric?
These are serious arguments, I promise. Let's look at the future first. If something hasn't happened yet, can we say that it exists? The growing block universe theory posits that only the past and present exist, and that the present is merely at the forefront of the new space-time coming into being. In this way, the future does not exist yet. But for that matter, is the past real? What if all our memories were implanted? The 5-minute hypothesis, put forward by Bertrand Russell, suggests that the universe was only just created, and we were simply imbued with memory, history, and aging signs.
Come on, now you're being ridiculous.
Hey, it's not entirely ridiculous. Some Christians use a similar argument. The OMPHALOS hypothesis states that God created the universe within the past 10,000 years, and left evidence of the universe being much older, such as fossils, light from distant stars, etc. This explains why the Bible says the Earth was created only a few thousand years ago, despite scientific evidence to the contrary. Omphalos comes from the Greek for navel, referring to God creating Adam and Eve with belly buttons, despite them never actually being born with umbilical cords.
Okay, so none of this is helping me forget about Tupac, and I'm gaining this weird sense of existential dread. Ugh.
Would it make you feel better if I told you that Tupac might still be alive?
Don't you play with my heart, Culture! I've been hurt too many times before.
I will remember you.
Well, it's still highly theoretical, but it's possible that a universe exists in which Tupac is alive. The many worlds interpretation in physics posits that all possible worlds are, in fact, real. That is to say that every decision forms a branch in a constantly unfolding tree of different realities. All of these worlds exist, however, and the reality we live in now is but one of many. The many worlds interpretation may sound distinctly non-deterministic, if you remember our discussion about free will.
Unfortunately, I do. Boy, were there some angry people in those comments.
But if you are to believe that these other worlds are merely possibilities, then you have to question, when does possibility become reality? Erwin Schrödinger has a famous thought experiment which explores this idea, known as Schrödinger's cat. Essentially, the situation is such that a cat is trapped in a box with a small amount of radioactive material. The material has a 50% chance of randomly decaying and emitting radiation, which will shatter a flask of hydrocyanic acid. This would of course kill the cat. However, the cat cannot be seen, since it is enclosed in a box. Is the cat alive, or is it dead? The answer is both. Until we open the box and find out which state the cat is in, we must accept that the cat is alive and dead simultaneously.
Just like Tupac. He may be dead, but he lives on in our hearts forever.
Not quite. But the point is, only upon observation do the two possibilities collapse into reality. But hey, even radiation and hydrocyanic acid is too tame for me. Let's step right back and just assume everything is false. Take The Matrix, for example, a computer simulation wherein all the inhabitants are blissfully unaware that their real bodies are being drained of energy for use by machines. But in the simulation, they truly believe they are in the real world. How can we know that we aren't just in a computer simulation as well? Or as Gilbert Harmon suggested, that we aren't just brains in a vat of life-sustaining liquid being fed sensory inputs.
But we still have a brain in those situations, so at least our brain is real. Also, Morpheus, aka Lawrence Fishburne, never offered me any pills, so that's how I know I'm not in the Matrix.
Well, how about this thought proposed by René Descartes in his treatise Meditations? What if there was an evil demon whose sole purpose it was to deceive you?
Sounds like my relationship with you.
Every sense you had, every thought you had, every memory you had was an illusion created by this demon that has almost infinite control over you. Descartes concluded that there was only one thing he could be certain of, that for the demon to torment him and for him to resist, then he at least must exist. And thus his famous quote, "I think, therefore I am," came into being.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, and I'm super happy for an A, but none of this helps me with Tupac!
I'm sorry, Crash. I wish I had some way to comfort you. When it comes to big questions like these, I personally believe that sometimes ignorance truly is bliss.
Really? You teach me all of that, and then tell me ignorance is bliss? Thanks for nothing, asshole.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Crash, you know what Tupac says about reality? He says reality is wrong. Dreams are for real. He believes that no matter how crappy your reality is, you have to keep moving forward towards your dreams. And maybe that means it doesn't matter what's real, so long as you can make the best of the world that you're born into.
Thanks. That actually means a lot to me.
No problem, man. Plus, I heard hologram technology is getting better and better by the day.
Damn it, Culture, I was this close to liking you.
Ah well, I was talking out my ass before anyway. Let us know what you think about reality
And Tupac.
in the comments below.
Follow CultureCrash on social media! Subscribe for more!
If you would like to support the show, then head on over to the CultureCrash Patreon page where you can receive rewards for your support. Every bit counts.